I have a question for you. What is a conspiracy theory that you definitely think is true? I mean, I want to talk about conspiracy theories because no doubt, they are really interesting. They are fascinating I think, for everyone. Because conspiracy theories are about mysteries. Essentially, a mystery that has to be solved. Maybe a double mystery, because one is what really happened with something, and the second one is why is it being covered up. So this is something that, as of late, we are seeing that is becoming very popular in many instances, and I wanted to talk about this, precisely the mechanics of how this works, and at the same time, how our natural interest in this phenomena, these theories, can be weaponized against us. Because first of all, what is a conspiracy theory? A conspiracy theory is when you have an event A, which said event A is described by quote-unquote official sources, or the official sources say that event A happened in the A way. But it so happens that there are people out there saying that event A did not happen in the A way. It really happened in a B way. And the B way has this kind of loose ends that make you say that, okay, maybe this is possible, that this official narrative is not the real one, but the parallel or the conspiracy theory narrative makes more sense, perhaps, or maybe it's more interesting, which is a cool distinction, because we humans, we are hardwired to look for mysteries. We could say problems, but not all of us look for problems. Most of us look for solutions. Usually, it comes because we are curious and we look for mysteries and we try to solve those mysteries. That's one of the reasons why in the department of true crime, it is not the crime itself. It is usually most popular when the crime has not been solved, or when the crime has not been solved in a let's say in a way that people say that, okay, this was actually solved. That gives satisfaction to the people watching it. Okay, maybe they say that, okay, whoever was charged with this, it was not the right guy, or maybe all the details did not make sense. I have covered some of those cases on my True Crime channel, but it all boils down to the fact that, okay, there's only the mystery, but that people question one thing that is very natural. We question authority. And everything that is true crime, everything that is conspiracy theories, everything that is these narratives are going to be much more popular in people that question authorities. I am one of those people. I couldn't question more any sort of authority, even if I wanted to. It's something that I've been like that all my life. And when I found out that, let's say, I had some ability to spot narratives here and there and spot BS here and there, I noticed, okay, maybe I can dedicate myself to this, only to observe and try to make sense of things. That's all that I do here on my channel, by the way, regarding conspiracy theories, any sort of conspiracy theories. And that's what you pitch to me. You send me an email or DM me on X, or we call Twitter. And I check videos and I check the footage and I say, okay, this is what's going on. There's always a mystery involved in my videos. That's what we are going through. But the problem is that sometimes there's no mystery at all. And I could ask the same question that I asked at the beginning of this video in another way. Not only what is a conspiracy theory that you definitely believe is true, but what is a conspiracy theory that you know for a fact that is misleading? And this is the kind of stuff that I know it triggers a lot of people, but I'm going to refer again to the moon landings. And I say time and time again that I get at least once a month that I should check the astronauts' reaction when they had that press conference and whatever, and I say, all right, I usually don't answer anymore those requests because I've made my position very clear. What are you looking for? I usually ask people, what are you looking for in those reactions? Well, we want to confirm that the moon landings were faked. And I tell them with all my love in my heart, with all the patience in the world, I tell them, but you know that the moon landings were real, right? This is something that we needed to address. And this is something that if you follow me on this channel, if you have followed me, but you're already aware of what is my opinion on that. And my opinion is not really an opinion, it's facts that come from the evidence that we have about the moon landings. Because there is an overwhelming amount of evidence that the moon landings, all of them, because there were more than one, did happen. The account Everyday Astronaut made a very good video about that. Look for that, Everyday Astronaut on X. Amazing. It breaks down the whole thing. Again, but okay, maybe you can question the narrative of the moon landings and say that, okay, those were fake. And I would ask, okay, if you have any reason to think they're fake and you have all the right to ask that question, what is the evidence that you have to ask that, to say that the moon landings never happened? And there's zero evidence. When somebody says that the moon landings were fake, they don't have evidence. They don't have evidence that the moon landings were staged. They don't have evidence of anybody who filmed them or anybody from the supposed film crew that filmed those landings on Earth. They don't have anything about the people who must have worked on the fakery. There's nothing. There's nothing of the sort, because, well, that would be interesting to be able to look through that evidence. But again, as I said, there's an absurd amount of evidence that, yeah, they did happen. And usually when you see that the people who affirm that the moon landings were fake, they usually just resort to attacks on the evidence that they did happen. You understand, right? They don't really have evidence in itself. They just try to, how to say this, ask questions about the evidence that does exist. One of the, this is very popular, I'm going to mention it passingly. The Van Allen belts, it's impossible to pass the Van Allen belts because they're radioactive, would fry the astronauts. And time and time again, I tell people over and over again, I'm going to say that again, the same man, the guy, Van Allen, the one who has the last name, the one who discovered the Van Allen belts, he has a video, a very old video, explaining how does it work? How can astronauts actually go through the Van Allen belts? You know, the guy whose last name is put on the belts themselves, he explained that, yeah, it's possible. It's risky, but there's a way to do that. So in many instances, I think that many people who believe in stuff are pretty much misinformed. I was a bit triggered at first, when people reach out to me, they'll say that you are some kind of stupid that believe that the moon landings were faked. And I said, well, I know that I'm right. I'm 100% know what I'm right. And I started to just think, okay, these people are misinformed. And again, maybe the conspiracy that the moon landings were faked was weaponized against them, because maybe I can understand, they don't trust anything that NASA has said in a long time, or the government, because NASA, to be fair, NASA has been sitting on their hands for longer than we can think, or what they have done is not as flashy as we hoped it would be. we could talk about that, the thing of the moon landing. So I should make a video about that. I love talking about that, by the way. Maybe I can answer questions about it. But the issue is that conspiracy theories used to be a nice pastime, or interesting, or mysterious. But right now, there's a problem with conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories can actually be monetized. Maybe the way to monetize in the past was like David Icke has, I don't know how many books about, we have there's lizards controlling humanity and whatever, being the puppet masters. Maybe that's a way to monetize conspiracy theories. The only lizard that I think that could be more or less confirmed is Mark Zuckerberg, because the guy doesn't behave like a human being. But I always say that as a joke, of course. But right now it's insane, all the ways that you can monetize a conspiracy theory. Because you have social media, and most social media platforms, I would say that every single social media platform can be monetized in one way or another. And that poses conflict of interest. And the conflict of interest is that the more attention you get from people, the more reactions you have from people, the more money you make. That is a problem, because it means that you can be in the business of stirring the pot, of making stuff up, of trying to brand stuff as what if. And I can understand. That is alluring. That what if, I love that. That's why, I don't know, there's a series, Lost. You remember that show? Lost was so famous. The X-Files. We want to know. We want to believe. The truth is out there. That is so seductive in so many ways. We are hardwired for that. That is normal. The problem is that we need to identify. We need to ask the questions about the questions being asked. I don't know if that makes sense, but that is important. Because I see a lot of people losing their minds lately, and people questioning literally everything. And when I tell you that people questioning everything, we are arriving at psychosis levels of questioning everything. Because if you think that everything is a psyop, then basically your life is toast. You're going to believe that, or you're going to think that everything that everyone takes for granted, that everyone believes is a psyop from the government, from the lizards, from, I don't know, aliens, from, I don't know. You're going to think that everything, that you are the only one who knows. You're going to enter in a state of psychosis. And I know that I'm sounding like that therapist from Total Recall, if you understand the reference. But yeah, that's how that works. It's very healthy to ask questions. It's very healthy to say that, okay, maybe the government is trying to fool me in some way, because that's what governments usually do, right? We know for a fact there's so many governments. I'm not going to say this precise government. I'm not going to name names, because a government of any country is a lot of people that have different degrees of interest. It's healthy to question narratives, but it's unhealthy to question everything. And it's unhealthy to question without at least some evidence of the stuff. So you have evidence, you have ways to question the narrative, you have ways to know that you're not losing your mind. And I think that is one of the most important questions, and something that I wanted to share with you. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, because I really want to know. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Bard Language Guy. Much love and bliss.